How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Miya, Matsu, Kazehana, part 1. Huge shout out to Yuna97 for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Flashback. Of course I knew how important bonds are. And that's why I severed them. Having too many bonds causes one to lose focus, weakening their strongest wish, their greatest desire. An emotionless voice, quiet yet charismatic, echoed through the cavern. If that's true, then why? Why didn't you kill me back then? Is that what you call severing bonds? Sasuke! The blonde grimaced, the pain of their previous clash still fresh. The reason is simple. Sasuke continued undeterred. And it isn't that I wasn't able to sever my bonds with you. I just didn't want to give him the pleasure of seeing me attain power by submitting to his plans. What do you mean by that? There's no need for me to tell you. Still, the one thing I can say to you is that back then, I chose to spare your life at nothing more than a whim of mine. With an unprecedented speed, Sasuke reappeared next to Naruto. When did he? Barely holding in a flinch, Naruto stared on ahead. Come to think of it, isn't being Hokage a dream of yours? If you had the time to go around looking for me, you would have been better off training. Don't you think, Naruto? He continued, smirking. And that's why this time. Sasuke pulled his sword out in an agonizingly slow pace. You're going to end up losing your life, all at a whim of mine. Naruto gritted his teeth, speechless. Then he looked straight back at Sasuke, once again showing his undying determination in his eyes. Like there's any chance someone who can't save a friend could become Hokage. Don't you think, Sasuke? Sasuke smirked and swung down his katana toward his ex-teammate. Sai intercepted the blade, allowing the Naruto and Sakura to close in. As they were readying their respective attacks, Sasuke shot out his Chidori Nagashi, bringing all three teens to their knees. Tenzu shot out a branch to bind Sasuke, which he nimbly shined out of the way, onto the top of the cliff. Konoha, I'm through with you. Sasuke muttered as he prepared for a long sequence of hand signs. Now things end. No need to use that jutsu here, Sasuke-kun. An eerie voice interrupted, gripping Sasuke's wrist. We shouldn't waste any more time here. After all, there aren't that many that can hold their own with the Akatsuki members, you know. Oro team. Naruto growled out, standing back up. I won't let you take him away. Oh, but dear, you will. With a hand sign, Orochimaru, along with Sasuke and Kabuto, was embraced in blue fire. Then toodles. And they left without a trace. Flashback end. Damn it! He punched a log, his makeshift training post, in his backyard. Only the sound of heavy thuds and occasional grunts reverberated throughout the area. What did I do these last 3 years? Training with the Gamma Sennin, pa! He inwardly scoffed. It wasn't to say that Naruto had not improved during the training trip, it was simply that Sasuke was better. He was much faster, stronger and smarter than him, as reluctant as he was to admit. And had better resources, too. The only thing I had was a horny drunkard who always wandered off to brothels. Naruto gritted his teeth in anger once more, and summoned a ball of energy using 2 hands, and grinded the log to the ground. Rasengan! 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 He roared as he repeatedly struck the ground with the famed jutsu. Can't even do the damn jutsu with one hand. His bangs shaded his eyes. Nothing seemed to go well for him. The number of his precious people was only decreasing, and he was powerless to prevent it. As the blonde was pitying himself in his mind, a sparkle of light on the ground caught his eye. Just where his Rasengans drilled the ground, a small black box was buried somewhat crudely. What the? He approached it and carefully dug it out. It seems to be made of technology much more advanced than ours. Naruto mused and admired the intricacy of the small box. He wondered what he should do for a moment, but never having been the one to think too hard, he pried open what seemed to be the lid of the box. A quick flash came from it, soon followed by a mechanical female voice. Configuration beginning. Naruto blinked. In front of him was a large screen with a green bar that seemed to fill up rather quickly. Rebooting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The screen disappeared, leaving Naruto alone in his backyard. Okay. I don't even want to know what happened just now. Having half the mind to simply ignore that anything happened and walk back into his house, the young ninja smoothly put back the box in the hole on the ground. As he was about to cover it up with dirt, the box radiated with light once again. Error. Insufficient power to support the program. Shutting down until requirements are met. And with one final flash, his world blackened as a shroud of lavender surrounded him. Damn, what hit me? He groggily sat up. Nothing seemed to be wrong with him save for the stiff body and ringing head. Naruto grabbed the dry ground to get a grip of himself. Wait, dry ground? The blonde suddenly seemed to sober up as he started to assess the environment. The seemingly unending earth, and no sign of living creature surprised him. Well, this sure isn't my backyard. Alternative energy source located. Recommencing game. Naruto jumped back at the sudden emergence of the cold voice, as well as the somewhat familiar gray screen floating in front of him. Okay, enough! What the hell did you do to me? Where the hell am I? The shinobi raved on. I thought this was supposed to make me stronger, not put me in a no man's land. You have been safeguarded in a probe whilst being put in an inanimate state, as it was inadvertently concluded that the technology was not developed enough to generate the necessary energy. The alien ship crash a few years ago provided the power, thus the reanimation of your body. With the sufficient resources available, you can now begin to construct yourself in a more efficient way. Naruto blinked. So, in English? The boy had the gall to look sheepish. You were frozen for 3,000 years, and now, year 2007, you can begin the game. And yes, you can become super strong too, It must have been a figment of imagination to have heard exasperation in the metallic voice. For more information, voice help. Happy gaming, It was somewhat awkward hearing the detached voice say happy gaming. But no matter, Naruto had more urgent things to do than to speculate on such random things. So, help, was it? The familiar screen of gray popped up in front of his face. Without flinching this time, he read the words on the sign. Help. Controls. Stats. Missions. Well, that sure is brief. The teen mused. At least it means that it's not complicated, right? And now I'm talking to myself. Great. And they say that talking to yourself is the first sign of madness. I'm probably going mad now, all thanks to the no-good game box thing. GRRRR, whatever. Controls. Controls. You can gain access to the menu screens by simply calling for it. Once the screen is on, touch the panels to operate. Stats. You can view and adjust the status points here. Your body in real life will be changed to accommodate the changes here. Equipment. You can view what items you have on your person. Inventory. You can view all the items that you have gained. A space/time storage can be accessed here. Your money is also stored here. Skills. You can view all the jutsu and skills you have acquired here. Status points? What are those? So if I flick the screen back like this. The blonde gingerly pushed his fingers onto the surprisingly solid screen and swiped it right. Help. Controls. Stats. Missions. Stats. I have no friggin' idea what the hell those are. Stats. Status points are gained through leveling up. Each level up allows you to gain 3 status points, which you will be able to invest in any of the categories you choose. Every point will boost your attributes in real life, so choose carefully in what you spend the points on. Intelligence increases the speed of learning anything, jutsu, knowledge, mechanics. Speed increases speed, jutsu, physical, reflex. Strength increases raw power, muscle power. What else did you expect? Dexterity increases skills in performing tasks, chakra manipulation, weapons, accuracy, mechanics, cooking. Charisma/attractiveness increases the probability of allying others or persuading them, or betting them. Betting them? Why the hell is that a stat? Naruto coughed. I can bet my life that Ero Sennin would invest all his points on this one. Anyways, this game thing really would be helpful for training if I properly use it. And I really should stop talking to myself. Naruto hung his head down in dejection. I'm not going to talk to myself anymore. I'm not going mad, damn it. The young blonde shouted in his mind, though that probably inched him towards madness, not preventing it. Going back on track, Naruto swiped the screen back to the help menu, and into the missions window. Missions. Missions will be randomly given by the game mechanics. By finishing each mission, you can gain EXP points varying on the mission difficulty as well as rewards. The rewards can be but not limited to items, money, or new skills. Well, that was dash. He clamped his mouth shut. Well, that was rather short. The kid's eye twitched at almost having spoken out loud again. Probably a good idea to check out how this game works, then he mused. Skills. Skills. Observation LV1. Shadow Clone Jutsu LV5. Sexy Jutsu LV2. Rasengan LV4. Henge LV3. Kawarimi LV2. Surface/water walking LV3. Yeah. Seems about right. It even has my own sexy jutsu. But what's that observation thing? They call looking at things a skill? Exasperated, Naruto went back to exploring his new ability. Equipment. Equipment. Senju's Emerald Necklace, the necklace of Hashirama Senju. It has the ability to subdue even the strongest Bijou. Dex plus 15. Orange Jumpsuit, an eyesore of a jumpsuit that is really orange and ugly. Something not even a hobo would wear. STR plus 1, CHR minus 10. Basic Shinobi Sandal, a basic sandal for shinobi. SPD plus 3. Something is obviously wrong here. What does it mean by orange and ugly? Orange is an awesome color, damn it. But damn, minus 10 charisma? A bit harsh, isn't it? Naruto plopped on the floor, a small rain cloud hovering over his head. It was always the orange that got dissed. But he would love the color for all it's worth, no matter how much the world tried to separate them. After a while, he finally collected himself, and decided to venture a bit further. Stats. Stats. Naruto, LV.18, EXP, 10/180. 54 stat points remaining. Intelligence, 15. Speed, 31, plus 3. Strength, 35, plus 1. Dexterity, 24, plus 15. Charisma/attractiveness, 22, minus 10. What? My total attractiveness is 12? I'm much more handsome and awesome to be that. But if this is true, no wonder Sakura-chan never accepted my dates. He sobbed. This was the day Naruto learned the harsh truth about himself, that he truly was a good-for-nothing eyesore. As Naruto was about to go into full depression mode, he noticed the number of unused stat points. Databeo. I knew I couldn't have been that useless. Haha, beat that, Sasuke team. My powers were simply hidden where I couldn't reach. Again, he didn't notice that he was shouting out to no one. After a moment, Naruto stared at the screen with barely suppressed giddiness. Should I go for strength? Or speed? Or maybe enhance my devilishly good looks? The blonde's face threatened to split with his shit-eating grin. In the end, he compromised with himself to first focus on speed and strength. And after seeing the results, he would decide on his next moves. Focusing back on the screen, Naruto deftly put 25 points in strength, 25 points in speed, and 4 points in charisma. His ego just could not allow his attractiveness to be rated so low. As soon as he pressed the confirm button, his body stiffened. An uncomfortable feeling washed by, then returned to its normal state. Stats. Naruto, LV.18, EXP, 10/180. 0 stat points remaining. Intelligence, 15. Speed, 56, plus 3. Strength, 60, plus 1. Dexterity, 24, plus 15. Charisma/attractiveness, 26 minus 10. All his work was done. There was nothing else left for him to do except to kick some major ass. His stomach growled. And maybe finding a place that has some good ramen. Meanwhile, in a large room that seemed like a laboratory, multiple beepings accompanied by red flashes could be heard. Several scientists glared at a computer screen, while a few others were typing away as if their fingers were on fire, trying to find the source of the error. "Ma'am, a sudden surge in energy was located approximately 3 miles from the spaceship," a scientist in white shouted with urgency in his voice. "What? Could it be another Sekirei? Or an invasion?" a white-haired woman muttered anxiously. "Dispatch the disciplinary squad. Tell them to capture the thing and bring it back alive." Several highs were heard throughout the room, soon followed by hurried footsteps heading out the lab. The white-haired woman sighed and took out a cigar from her lab coat's pocket. "I'm not getting paid enough for this shit," she muttered as she inhaled the smoke. What to do? A blond boy muttered to himself, lying on the ground with his hands behind his head. The sky was clear today, which was becoming painfully obvious, as there was not a single cloud to watch. Damn, why Shikamaru bothers looking up the sky, I'll never know. It definitely isn't keeping me out of boredom, he grumbled. Accompanied by a bleep, a message emerged out of thin air, the windows slanted to accommodate to the ninja's position. Mission: survive the onslaught for 2 minutes. Reward: a shelter. Penalty: coma for 5 years. Onslaught? Not that I'm complaining, but why 2 minutes? Naruto slouched up. Maybe they're super strong like the Akatsuki? The teen couldn't keep himself from grinning as the first battle since the inauguration of the game approached him. I'll finally be able to find out just how much the stat change affected me. He cackled in anticipation for the upcoming battle. As Naruto stretched his arm upwards, groaning at the unexpected stiffness of his body, he noticed a small group heading towards him at an impressive speed, leaving a vestige of smoke behind their trails. With a ding, a small blue screen materialized in the corner of his eye. 2:00. 2 minutes, huh? I can do that. The blonde smirked. Even if he wasn't quite Jonin material yet, he certainly had the firepower of one. Now more than ever due to the stats change. No matter how strong they were, he'd show them that he wasn't to be messed with. Who are you, and what are you doing here? A regal woman with lavender hair approached. 4 others followed behind her, 3 women and 1 man, each beautiful, or handsome, not that he cared, in their own right. All but the speaker seemed relaxed rather than battle-ready. They put a lot of trust in her, it seemed. Or maybe it's just that she's frickin' scary that they all know that she doesn't need any help. He guessed, which was affirmed by the woman's actions. She was now pointing a katana at him, a glint in her eyes promising pain if he didn't cooperate. Remembering that he was asked a question, Naruto decided that he should quickly speak up, lest she dismembered him. The name's Naruto. And I have no idea what I'm doing here, or where this is, for the matter of fact. He offered a smile that reached his eyes. The redhead with glasses seemed to study him intensely, trying to solve the enigma he was. She didn't move from her spot behind the inquirer, though. The silver-haired woman seemed to deem him unworthy of her time, as her eyes were closed, and her hands were fiddling with her katana. Hopefully she isn't too skillful with that. Ugh, who am I kidding? Knowing my luck, she's probably a master swordswoman. Great. He lifted his eyes from the gray-haired beauty to another purple head who was somewhat swaying with sake in her hand. For some reason, Naruto wasn't too surprised, as she reminded him of a certain old lady back home. But this one seems to have a bigger bust than her, which was pretty impressive. Not that Naruto cared. Nope, his eyes did not linger in that bad Naruto bad. Stand down, boy. Shaking his head, Naruto looked to her right, where the only male stood. Gray hair, well-built body, a scarf on his neck, and a nodachi by his side. He was pretty uninteresting in all. The fact that he was male didn't help either. The boy's gaze returned to the leader. She was still eyeing him carefully, checking for any hostility. State your purpose here. She asked once again with an emotionless, but authoritative nonetheless, voice. I told you, I have no idea. It's not my fault I appeared out of thin air, he whined. 4 pairs of eyes twitched, and a certain purplet giggled. The leader's piercing wine-colored eyes were shadowed by her bangs as her hand reached for her katana. The moment her hands touched the sword's handle, 2 dings sounded from the timer as it started the countdown. Oh sure dash. Even before he was able to finish swearing in his mind, with a short and swift movement, the woman slashed in the young shinobi's direction. The shockwave nicked his shoulder blade, though he somehow swerved out of the way in the last second. Thank Kami I invested a lot in my speed, he sighed inwardly. But the moment of relief did not last long, for the woman started attacking him in a flurry, alternating between short jabs and swipes. Naruto jumped, ducked, and spun out of the katana's way, though the shockwaves slightly scratched his skin each time. The blonde frantically looked around to formulate a plan to escape, only to be cut short by another slash aimed at his abdomen. Damn, she's too fast for me to Rasengan her hide. So I guess I'll go with the classic then. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 10 Naruto appeared around him and scattered instantly. I guess the right saying would be, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Haha. The regal woman stopped in her track for a moment, trying to make sense of the situation. Then she raised her katana once again and swung it horizontally, popping 5 of the clones. And the game of cat and mouse began anew. What an interesting power. Is that an unconfirmed Sekirei power? Perhaps one of duplication? Oh, the sheer possibilities one could have with that, kukukuku. The redhead giggled creepily, motioning her hands in a rather disturbing manner. I wish to fight him. He seems to be more than your average human. Even for a Sekirei, he seems rather intriguing, does he not? The gray-haired woman smiled, showing off all her teeth. I've been itching to fight all day, you know? Karasuba-chan, we have to bring him back alive, you know. So unless you are willing to hold back immensely, I doubt that's a good idea. Miya-chan seems to be doing fine, anyways. The woman with glasses replied rather uneasily. All I have to do is leave him alive, right? Her smile seemed to become even more bloodthirsty, if that was possible. I'm off then. My. It's probably best if we bring him down before she gets to him, unless we want him in pieces. The woman with dark purple hair chuckled, jumping towards the skirmish with haste. Back to Naruto. Damn, it's like fighting Kakashi-sensei in the Genin test all over again. Naruto muttered as he ducked a slash. Tajua Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Approximately 100 clones were created. I'm really running out of ideas. He glanced up at the timer. Damn, a whole minute left, too. The lavender-haired lady destroyed most his clones in one movement. Naruto himself was barely able to dodge it as he jumped high into the air. Not waiting for the blonde to reach the ground, the leader rushed towards him and jumped, the katana headed straight to his head. Miya! No! The woman with the darker purple hair shouted. Miya's eyes widened in shock, but the blade was already only inches away from the boy's face, its momentum unalterable. The katana sliced through as if it were cutting butter. Kami, praise the logs! Came a voice far behind Miya. She blinked, and finally noticed a log cleanly cut in half, lying on the ground. She couldn't decide whether to be thankful that the boy was alive, or annoyed that he still isn't down after facing her for so long. You really have the lifespan of a cockroach, don't you? The gray-haired woman walked in and licked her lips sensually. I'll be enjoying this, Insect-san. Hope you can be a bit more than just a warm-up. Naruto blanched. Hey lady. Can't you come at me sometime later? He nervously looked upwards. Ugh. 50 seconds dash. The woman answered by chucking her blade at him. Unlike Miya, this one was unrestrained in her swings, slashing in full arcs rather than short jabs. It didn't seem as if she was fighting seriously, but she certainly was not going easy on him. Ho! You should learn to focus on your opponent during a battle, boy dash. The katana grazed his cheek. Or you'll have to face the consequences. Her blade slammed on the floor, barely missing the blonde's head. Naruto jumped back, flipping through the air once and landing on all fours. Didn't really want to whip this out so quickly, but... He stood up straight once more and stared defiantly at the incoming attack, both his hands by his side. Rasengan! He bellowed as the two attacks clashed, fighting for dominance. All the spectators seemed surprised at seeing the first offensive move the boy dished out. His opponent's grin seemed to return in full force, though her eyes soon widened in surprise at being pushed back. She decided that this boy would be an interesting one to keep around in the future. Of course, assuming that he survived the battle, that is. As soon as the Rasengan diffused, the bloodthirsty woman regained her stance and aimed straight for his head. Naruto kawarimi'd with the sturdiest thing he found, making an escape once again. And the poor, unassuming male with the scarf around his neck had to pay the price for it. The man flew a few feet when the blade connected with his head. Luckily, he seemed to be alive, just sprawled on the ground, bleeding. Poor guy. Meh, he was a possible enemy anyway. Better him than me. My, you sure are an interesting one, aren't you? The voluptuous purple lady whispered in his ear. She must have been near the man when I used kawarimi, he mused calmly, though not without slight surprise. When Isama will play with you this time, dash. Kazehana! I wasn't done with him. Don't touch my prey! The gray-haired woman growled threateningly. Mao, but I want to have a go too. You took him from Miya-chan too, you know? Kazehana whined. Not to mention she'll probably kill him if the chance arises. Can't have her doing that, can I? Her eyes slightly hardened as her thought wandered back to the woman. Fine. The gray-haired one huffed. You're lucky this time, little insect. But don't count on it the next time we clash. She turned and walked away. Naruto let out the breath he didn't know was holding. Although a bit annoyed at the change of opponent once again, he decided that anything was better than the homicidal woman. 15 seconds left. Man, how in the world is 2 minutes this long? He sighed exasperatedly. Let's dance, shall we? The woman, Kazehana, her name was, spoke in a low, sultry tone. Naruto shivered. Because Naruto was readying for another close combat battle, he was surprised to see blades of wind coming at him from afar. Just at the crucial moment, the boy's knees buckled from the constant strain, and he was hit by the wind blade straight in the abdomen. Skidding backwards, Naruto spat out a glob of blood. 10 seconds. His eyes brimmed with determination once more. Like I'd back off after coming this far. The blonde crossed his hands into a familiar sign and created 5 clones. Let's go! One last attack! He roared. All his clones jumped in the air and threw themselves in Kazehana's direction, each sporting a flying kick or punch. The purple-haired beauty frowned as she dispelled them with a quick blast. Is that the only thing you know how to do? How disappointing, dash. She was cut short by the sudden appearance of the original, previously hidden from view due to the smokes created from the clones. Rasengan. Kazehana looked down in shock as her arm was grinded by the ball of energy. It was painful to see how much damage the small sphere did. Though her arm was still mostly intact, she would not be using it anytime soon, superior MBI technology or no. Despite the successful hit Naruto managed to make, he was almost out of energy. He glanced back at the timer, and noticed that it was no longer there. Instead, a window popped out in front of his face. Mission accomplished. Survive the onslaught for 2 minutes. Reward, a shelter. EXP gained, 125 EXP. Yada! I did it! Naruto cheered, hands in the air. His foxy grin was back on, though the lack of energy was rather obvious. Now that the mission was over, he could probably rest, possibly in his new shelter, though he still didn't understand how he would receive the reward. Because he was mulling over some unanswered questions in his head, he failed to notice the approaching woman with a katana in her hand. Hey, sorry to be a bother. But would you happen to know where a building is around dash? He never got the chance to finish his question as he fell into a blissful sleep. Ugh, what hit me? And why does it feel like this is going to be a regular occurrence? The whiskered boy shuddered. He groggily opened his eyes, to see a weird blue ceiling with lights dangling off it. Is this the shelter I was offered by the game? He carefully looked around, and noticed that there was nothing of considerable significance except for the rectangular bed. Not even a small window. Maybe it's a prison. He blinked twice. Is this what the game thinks a shelter is? He plopped off the bed and walked around frantically. No. I can't stay here for the rest of my life. I'm only 16 for crying out loud. I never went on a date with a girl. Or kiss a girl. Or do erotic things with one. The boy went down to his knees and wept anime tears. I'll be alone for the rest of my virgin life. Damn you, game. Only if I didn't touch dash. The chain of thoughts was once again cut off when the steel door creaked open. Did I interrupt something? A gray-haired man wearing a turtleneck walked in the room. So the door wasn't locked. Naruto's sweat dropped. No. No, you didn't. The shinobi stood up, trying to muster up all the dignity he had left. I was simply inspecting the floor. He gave a shaky smile. Of course you were. The man replied with a kind smile that reached his eyes. The name's Takahito Osama, a researcher working in MBI. What's yours? Uzumaki Naruto. He eyed the older man warily. Not in the slightest bit phased, the man kept his smile on. Allow me to get straight to the point. What are you doing here? In all seriousness, I don't know. The scientist raised a single eyebrow. I was knocked out one day, and the next thing I know, I wake up in this place, wherever this is. Silence ensued. The older man opened his eyes and studied the boy for a moment, then opened his mouth. I believe you. An incredulous look on his face, the boy gave a rather unintelligent reply. What? I believe you. He smiled again. This is where the Sekirei landed, after all. So it's only slightly surprising, really. Sekirei? What's that? Well, Sekirei are aliens that look just like humans but have superpowers. Some can wield weapons with amazing finesse and power, some simply have inhumane power and speed, some can control certain powers of nature to their will, and some can have access to an enormous amount of knowledge. There are such a variety of them that we still haven't been able to categorize them all. Takahito paused for a moment, and suddenly laughed sheepishly. Haha. Sorry for running my mouth like that. I must have gotten excited. Naruto's sweat dropped at the sudden change of demeanor. It's alright. He smiled tentatively. It was interesting to listen to. Speaking of Sekirei, did you know that the 5 you met earlier were Sekirei too? Huh! Again, Naruto replied unintelligently. Now that he thought about it, it was rather obvious that they weren't normal humans. Sure, ninjas could fight like that, but they seemed to be surprised when he used the simple kawarimi and bunshin jutsu. And the way Kazehana controlled wind seemed too quick and natural for it to be a jutsu. And the power with which the two ladies wielded the katanas, Naruto shivered at the unpleasant memory. Are all Sekirei like that? Freakishly strong and violent, that is. I guess they all differ depending on the Sekirei, just like how each human is unique. The man plopped down on the bed. If your curiosity is somewhat sated, I'd like to ask you a question now, if I may. No, what are you? Last time I checked, I was human, he said slyly. Naruto pondered if he should reveal his true identity, but then realized that he already showed almost all his moves, so it wouldn't do much but gain the mistrust of the researcher if he hid the truth. He seemed like a nice guy anyways. I'm also a shinobi of Konohagakure. The man's eyebrows rose, not expecting this type of response. Don't you people know of ninjas? Or samurai even? Naruto asked desperately. Had he come so far into the future that none of his kind was left? If so, then what purpose would he serve now? Well, I know of ninjas and samurais. But last I checked, it was said that ninjas prospered most around 3,000 years ago. Are you sure you're from this dimension? He asked skeptically. Yes. The game said I moved through time, not space, damn it. Naruto was too busy worrying about the new predicament to notice his slip of tongue. Travel through time. Game? Uzumaki-kun, could you elaborate more on this game you are talking about? Naruto clamped his mouth shut at realizing his mistake, but then asked hesitantly. Could you swear not to tell anyone of this? The fact that I'm a ninja is fine and all, but... He avoided the man's gaze. Sure. I can keep a secret or two, as long as it's not too life-threatening, Takahito assured the boy with a light attitude. And so, Naruto told the man of all the events he came across due to the game, the mission and stat distribution. A/N, sorry to make it so vague, but I really didn't want to write the thing again. You probably don't want to read it again either, so everything's good, right? The researcher halted his report. Uzumaki-kun. Sorry for interrupting, but you say that you invested most of your points in strength and speed? You weren't planning on increasing all 5 categories, were you? Yeah, I was. What's it to ya? Naruto narrowed his eyes at the older man. Uzumaki-kun. A Hanya mask bathed in a murky aura appeared behind his smiling face. I'm trying to help you understand and utilize the game to its fullest potential. So please refrain from speaking in such a disrespectful manner. Naruto trembled. Understood, Uzumaki-kun? Why, yes, sir. Understood. Good. And the oppressive aura was gone, as if it never existed in the first place. As I was saying, I believe that it would be best if you chose 1 or 2 attributes and focus on it. Naruto opened his mouth to protest, only to be halted by the other man's finger. I know that all 5 look useful, but concentrating on a specific trait will get you stronger much faster. Think about it. Would you prefer to be a jack of all trades or a true professional? The blue-eyed boy actually contemplated the idea seriously, though he really should have done so earlier on considering the things he had unwillingly sacrificed in getting the ability. The more he mulled on it, the more he realized that Takahito was indeed correct. Even back in the elemental nations, shinobi would have certain specializations, whether it was genjutsu, taijutsu, or ninjutsu. Though they didn't explicitly rely on only one type, they definitely heavily favored 1 or 2 over others. Is this what he was talking about? Specialization? Putting a hand on his chin, the boy sat down on the bed as well. I absolutely want to work on speed. Really learned the importance of that from the battle with that bastard, Sasuke. And though charisma is really tempting, I could put it on hold until I'm stronger. He recalled the previous battle and stiffened. Much stronger. He nodded to himself. But what should I choose for the second one? I like bashing things together, but I also like throwing ninjutsu at people too, ga. This is giving me a headache. Still sitting beside him, the researcher's lips quirked slightly in amusement at the boy's predicament. Do you want any help, Uzumaki-kun? You seem to be in quite a dilemma. The whiskered boy jerked his head up in surprise, having completely forgotten the company he had. Yeah? I don't really know what I should invest on other than speed. Takahito closed his eyes and leaned backwards. Well, you said that you liked using jutsu, was it? The boy nodded. If that's the case, I think that you should go for either dexterity or intelligence, and condition your body with your own strength. Thinking on the same line, what can be achieved by raising dexterity can be done with rigorous training as well. The hardest thing to heighten with your own power would be intelligence. He paused slightly and put on a kind smile. And that intelligence stat of yours is rather lacking. Why, you damn bastard! Naruto's face reddened as his fist shook in anger. Now, Uzumaki-kun. I was only sharing my opinion. The Hanya mask appeared behind him again. We don't have to speak so vulgarly now, do we? Naruto's anger was doused immediately. Instead of the anger now, sweat was forming in every pore of his body. And no, sir. I'll be good. Splendid. The pressure lifted without missing a beat. But I was being serious in telling you to spend points on intelligence. You'd be able to pick up on things much quickly than you can now. You would be able to grow stronger in a shorter amount of time, because you'd be able to utilize the game in a more efficient manner. Huh. You do have a point there. Naruto drummed his fingers on the bedside and grinned. I guess I'll try that. His grin faltered almost immediately. Though I won't be able to do anything for a while until the next level up cause I used up all my points. Take your time, Uzumaki-kun. You are still young, no need to rush things. The man ruffled the blonde's hair. Naruto huffed and looked away. Takahito smiled for a short moment before standing back up, contorting his expressions back to neutrality. As pleasant as it was, this wasn't why I came to see you. I came here on behalf of the president of MBI to offer you a stay here, on this island. Naruto blinked at the sudden change of topic. Then it hit him. Oh, this must be what the mission reward is, huh? A shelter, right? Hopefully it isn't as stuffy as this one dash. Yes, Uzumaki-kun. You are partially correct, but if you would be a bit more patient, you could hear what the entire deal is. The researcher cut him off with a pleasant tone. As I was saying, you would be staying in one of the rooms provided, and you can renovate it however you want. Every meal will be prepared for you, and you are free to roam around the island as you please. If you'd like, we can even get you a trainer or any other material you might need. But we'd like you to participate in some experiments in return for all this. Naruto bristled at that bit of information. His encounter with the snake Sannin was still fresh in his mind, and he had come to find experiments rather distasteful. It took his friend away, after all. Seeing this, Takahito quickly rectified his statement. We won't be doing anything harmful, though. Call it a simple scientist's curiosity at seeing a unique specimen. In fact, you might find yourself better equipped by the end of all this. My friend, Naruto gritted his teeth. Betrayed our village because some mad scientist offered him power, just like how you did to me. He was consumed by power and hatred because of this. He nearly killed me, even. His eyes narrowed at the man. How do I know you won't do the same? You won't, the man replied swiftly. But I assure you, I have no intention of doing anything sinister. He chuckled. If it makes you feel better, I can be the only one to lay my hand on you. No other people involved. The blonde mulled over this for a while, weighing the pros and cons. Seeing that he already trusted the older man a great deal, he shrugged. Fine. But only with you, got it? Crystal. The man turned around. I've been here for far too long. I'll see you around soon. He stretched, then paused. An assistant will be coming around to show you to your room. Have a nice day, Uzumaki-kun. The door closed behind him. Naruto flopped on the bed and looked at the bare ceiling. Life just might get interesting again. A blonde boy was taking in the structure of his new dwelling. It didn't look like much, but it sure was better than the previous room he was confined in. There was a single queen-sized bed by the wall, and a small white desk on the other side of it. It had 2 drawers just underneath it, though he doubted that he would be using those any time soon. On the left of him was a door that led to a rather luxurious bathroom with a large western tub, or so he heard from the assistant that led him here. Interesting-looking bottles were placed near the tub, which he guessed were used for washing himself with. He would have to ask Takahito later. It was amazing how much changed in the 3,000 years. Water could be accessed with a single flick of a finger, without having to get it all the way from a river. Apparently its temperature could be controlled, too, without the use of any jutsu. As his amazement at the advancement of technology dissipated, he noticed a small window slightly left to the white desk. Though it didn't have a spectacular view, considering the empty environment of the island, it was comforting to have a small window that allowed him a breeze of fresh air. The room he stayed in just prior to coming here was a place he never wanted to be in again. When he turned his head to the bed, he noticed that there was a silky nightgown on it, neatly folded. It seemed comfortable to wear, so he immediately changed into it. It wasn't orange, but it was better than nothing, he compromised himself. He didn't like sleeping in nude anyways. It made him feel too vulnerable. The teen slumped on the bed, the day's exhaustion finally catching up to him. But whether it was because the day was too exciting or because he had many things to think about, he simply could not fall asleep. Sitting back up again, he decided to tinker with the game mechanics some more. Stats. Naruto, LV.18, EXP, 135/180. 0 stat points remaining. Intelligence, 15. Speed, 56, plus 3. Strength, 60. Dexterity, 24, plus 15. Charisma/attractiveness, 26. Nothing majorly changed except for the EXP points and the numbers previously in the parenthesis, he mused. Maybe I really should get a different clothing. I may not know how much these points affect me, but I know for a fact that having a simple nightgown that is more attractive than my normal clothes is a serious problem. A/N, not really if you're sexy in bed, tongue sticking out. Getting back on track, I should probably do some missions or some sort and level up quickly. Though how I could get any does pose a problem. Naruto hung his head in defeat. Gah! I don't care anymore. I wasn't one to plan beforehand in the first place. Huffing in annoyance, Naruto called up the skills screen. Skills. Observation LV1. Shadow Clone Jutsu LV5. Sexy Jutsu LV2. Rasengan LV4. Henge LV3. Kawarimi LV2. Surface/water walking LV3. How do these things even work? What's the levels for? Naruto pulled on his hair. Stupid game. Should have given me some kind of manual before throwing me into this mess. Observation. What's this supposed to be? Suddenly, a few windows popped up beside him. A soft bed. It is a comfortable bed that heals 5% of HP and 5% of fatigue for every hour of sleep. Naruto blinked. Okay, so that's what observation does. But this doesn't tell me anything. How the hell do I know what my HP and fatigue is? With a ding, another screen popped out. Basic status such as HP and fatigue can be selected from the setting menu. Now you tell me? Geez, thanks for the heads up, Game Master-san. Naruto fumed. Settings. Settings. HP bar off. Fatigue bar off. Clock off. Alarm off. That's it? No explanations or anything? A tick mark grew on his head. Maybe if I press on it. Whoa! When he pressed HP bar, a small blue screen emerged in front of it. Health points. Shows the damage you can take. When it reaches 0, you will die. The shinobi cringed. Well, I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon. He pressed the next one. Fatigue points. Shows the amount of work you can endure. If it fills up completely, you will faint. 1% decreases for every hour of rest. Okay, what's up with all this dying and fainting? Sheesh, the guy who made this must be a creep. Clock. You can see the time and date. Alarm. You can set an alarm to go off in your head. Naruto's sweat dropped. I don't even know why I even pressed that. Oh well. I guess I should turn all these on. The boy pressed all the offs in quick succession, turning them into ons. 3 new screens came into view. On the top right corner of his vision, a round antique clock told him of the time. On the bottom left of his vision, 2 long bars, the red HP bar half empty and the blue fatigue bar nearly full, showed him that he needed to sleep quickly. He ignored the revelation as his curiosity piqued. I wonder if this bar is really accurate. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A solid clone appeared. Hey clone, hit me! Roger that, boss! And without a moment of hesitation, the clone grinned sinisterly and punched the original in the stomach, hard. The red bar was shaved off slightly. Not enough to call it an obvious change, but just enough to be seen. Cough, I guess the bar's pretty accurate. Taking the original's disarrayed form as a chance, the clone tried to punch him again, though it was hastily dispelled by Naruto's will. Damn clone, has no respect for the original. Naruto coughed some more. Deciding that he had enough for the day, the boy set his alarm to 8 a.m. and crawled into his new bed and fell into a deep slumber. It was a peaceful morning to all the inhabitants of the Kamakura Island. Well, to be exact, all but a certain blonde teen. Arf! Make it stop, make it stop, make it stop! An alarm that was louder than the screech of Sasuke's fangirls was ringing in his mind. In other words, the loudest and the most annoying thing he has ever heard. A small screen materialized. Hint: to turn off the alarm, open your eyes and slap your cheek. Desperate and willing to do anything, he slapped his face with great ferocity. And the world instantly became quiet. Why me? The blonde cried anime tears, banging the floor with his fists. The fates or whatever deity up there must have loved watching him suffer, as they intruded in his life in even the most minuscule moments like this. After sulking for a while, Naruto stood back up to change back into his clothes, only to see it in tatters. Though he didn't notice it the previous day due to his exhaustion, the jumpsuit was ripped and shredded in so many areas that it was near impossible to put it back on. In fact, it wasn't even in one piece, he noted, seeing a piece of his sleeve on the floor. And I don't have any spares left either, Naruto thought dejectedly. Not having any other garments to wear, the boy trudged outside without changing out of his nightgown. He truly hoped that this wouldn't cause him too much embarrassment. I'm not lost. I am definitely not lost. I'm a shinobi, and shinobi don't do lost, he muttered to himself. It was quite obvious that the blonde knucklehead was lost. He was so pitifully trying to deny his lack of aptitude in being a ninja that he couldn't even form grammatically correct sentences. Enjoy your stay, she said. They'll provide anything I need, she said. Well, I don't see no map or guide around here, and I am certainly in need of it. Naruto seethed, thinking back to the words an assistant told him as she led him to his room. It was then when he noticed a figure walking towards him. Hey, lady! He yelled as he ran over to her. Do you happen to know where I can grab a bite? My. Did you want to see me again that badly, Foxy-kun? The lady clad in purple giggled. Now that Naruto got a good look at her, his eyes widened in recognition. You're that, Sekirei that I fought yesterday. His eyebrows furrowed as he racked his memory. Kazehana, was it? Ho? I don't remember introducing myself, she playfully replied, though her eyes were inspecting his every movement. I must have caught it when you were talking to others. Such a pretty name isn't easy to forget, after all. Naruto smiled sheepishly, reflexively rubbing the back of his neck. Kazehana simply giggled in reply. The blonde looked over at the older woman to say something, and widened his eyes when he noticed her arm wrapped in a sling. Kami, did I do that to you? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you of all people. The others I don't really have qualm hurting, not that I could, but you were the nicest to me even in the battle. It's just that you were so strong and I needed to one-up you and I. The wind user was somewhat shocked seeing him ramble on. It was a battle after all, and it was expected for someone to get hurt. She just got the short end of the stick because she heavily underestimated the boy. A fair trade for my bad habits, she mused. A soft smile took place on her sultry lips. The boy was more interesting than she thought he would be. Hey, Foxy-kun. It's alright. It'll heal soon enough and I'll be able to move around just fine. When I'm in a good condition, we can even spar together if you would like, she purred. Though you seem to be ready for sparring just fine in your current attire. Too bad I can't move around so freely, It took a while for the knucklehead to understand the implication, but his face burned up like a chili when he did. That is... look at his face. His innocence is so cute that I can just eat him up, she giggled. I'll be enjoying these next few years. Well, the dining room is that way. She pointed to the direction he came from. It's the third room to the right. Can't miss it. She winked at him. See you soon, Foxy-kun. And with a swirl of sakura petals, she left. Naruto stood there dumbfounded for a moment. Damn, I should really up the ante in this area too, unless I want to become her personal chew toy, he muttered. I mean, I am the student of the self-proclaimed super pervert, can't be flustered by every little thing, can I? He shook his head sideways and headed for the dining room. I'll we finally meet in person, Naruto Uzumaki-kun. Though it has been slightly delayed, I welcome you to the Kamakura Island. The white-haired man opened his arms wide and laughed rather lengthily, as a villain would do in an anime for kindergartners. Naruto stared at the man incredulously. Is he always like this? I'm afraid so. The woman next to him sighed. Takami Sahashi, nice to meet you. Naruto Uzumaki, though you probably know that already, if his all-knowing smile is anything to go by, the boy replied gruffly. It was rather unnerving to know that people who he has practically no information on already knew quite a bit about him. I really didn't think things through when I blabbed, didn't I? He regretted his thoughtlessness not for the first time. He could only hope that Takahito kept his part of the promise regarding the gaming device. Good to see you again, Uzumaki-kun. Did you enjoy your breakfast? Takahito asked, his seemingly ever-present smile on his face. The blonde's eye twitched in annoyance. I would have if I weren't eating while wearing a bathrobe in public. It also would have helped if people didn't stare at me the entire time I was eating. I was wondering about that. Why aren't you wearing proper clothing, Uzumaki-kun? He smiled as the Hanya mask appeared. I believe that even ninjas had etiquettes 3,000 years ago. The other two in the room didn't show any surprise to this bit of information, as they were already debriefed just a while ago. Naruto started sweating bullets. It's not my fault. If anything, blame the assistants, or that glasses bastard. All I could wear was my original clothes, which was barely in one piece, or this. The boy pointed at Minaka. Shove your mask on him, not me. The said man only smiled and waved lightly in return, not minding the spotlight. Uzumaki-kun. What did I tell you about the crude language? The man's eyes glinted even though they were closed. I'm sorry. Please don't kill me. He cowered. The female researcher instinctively took a step back. I don't think I can get used to that no matter how many times I see it. Not reading the atmosphere, the president butted in. Oh, how all of you seem so close to each other. Why do you not include me in the conversation? I am so greatly saddened. The man cried anime tears and raised his arm to partially hide his face for the dramatic effect. Are you sure this guy is sane? Naruto's eye twitched again. Sadly, no, the woman replied. But he is a hell of a genius. Indeed he is. MBI exists because of him, you know, Takahito added. Takami-chan, I knew you cared for me. The man with glasses jumped at her, lips puckered out for a kiss, only to be brought down with a swift whack. Naruto choked at a sudden revelation. I wasn't like that when I was chasing Sakura-chan, was I? He paled. Kami-sama, I think I was. No wonder she hated me when we were young. Takahito glanced at the shinobi. You okay, Uzumaki-kun? You seem pale. I'm fine. Yeah. Nothing's the matter. He decided right then that he would become strong as quickly as possible, and invest his stat points on attractiveness. He really might never get a girl if he's as bad as he thought he was. I really should go train, as soon as possible. Can you quickly say what you called me in for? Naruto looked at the president. Wheel, he drawled out. I just called you in to say hi. The blonde grew a tick mark. You can go now. Ta-ta. Naruto growled as he stomped out the room. The man's attitude drove him crazy. The only thing that kept him at bay was the fact that the genius would be able to kill him nearly instantly with only a few words to the Sekirei. The boy may be hot-headed and impulsive, but he wasn't so foolish to think that he could defeat the disciplinary squad. He could tell that even yesterday, each member was holding back even the lady with the enormous battle lust. Naruto sighed. There were just too many people in the world that he was inferior to. He would have to train like crazy to even hold a candle to them. Too engrossed in his self-ranting, he didn't notice that both Takahito and Takami had followed him out the office. Amused by the young one's reaction in meeting the president for the first time, the gray-haired man smiled. Uzumaki-kun, remember the deal we made yesterday? I'd like to see you in Lab C5 in the 3rd floor at 7 p.m. Can you make it? The boy looked at the older man, somewhat surprised to see him there. But he replied in a nonchalant tone. I guess so. I don't really have anything planned yet, so why not? He shrugged. Then I'll be waiting, Uzumaki-kun. The researcher lifted his hand up for a small wave and left to do his own bidding. Takami quietly sighed and walked ahead of the young shinobi. I'm sorry for that back there. He can be quite the handful at times. She paused and rectified her words. Almost all the time. Nah, it's fine, lady. I feel bad for you having to stick around him for so long. Naruto flashed her a cheesy grin. Well, I'll give you a tour around the building to make up for the previous inhospitality. She glanced back to his choice of attire. Actually, we should get you some clothes first. The whiskered boy sighed and tightened the gash of the gown. Yeah, that would be nice. Sorry, but it seems like this is the only type of clothing we have left. She handed him the disciplinary squad's uniform. All the other Sekirei that are being adjusted are only babies, toddlers at most, so. Hey, it's fine. The quality is much better than what I was wearing to begin with. Thanks a bunch. He inspected the black and gray garments for a moment. Is there a place where I can change into this? A bathroom is just out the door, she answered. Take your time. The boy gave a swift nod and headed straight to the toilet. As soon as Naruto entered, he quietly muttered to himself. Let's see how you fare against my awesome orange clothes. Observation. A screen materialized above the garments. Disciplinary Squad Uniform. The uniform Sekirei in the Disciplinary Squad wear. It is made of high-quality material and is easy to move in. STR +5, SPD +5, CHR +5. Oh. It is a lot better. Naruto deflated. He wordlessly changed into the uniform, discarding the bathrobe in the toilet. Takami greeted him as he exited the toilet. Uzumaki-san, you clean up pretty nicely. Much better than the robe you were wearing just now or your previous attire. She snickered into her hand. Though it was said in a joking manner, it was true that the blonde looked much better in the uniform. The bulky orange jumpsuit was replaced with a tight black leather top with 2 horizontal white lines running down his chest, and the orange pants were replaced with black ones, with a gray belt loosely tied around his waist twice. A gray haori was lightly hanging off his shoulders, as he wasn't quite wearing them. A/N, basically a male version of the female disciplinary squad uniform. Why thank you, researcher lady. I'm very flattered. Naruto rolled his eyes. Call me Takami. Sure, researcher lady. Naruto smiled, showing off all his teeth. It's Takami. Her teeth turned sharp as she grinned and her eyes glinted dangerously as she hovered over Naruto. Yes, Takami. Naruto slumped. Why was every woman he came across extremely violent and scary? The woman slapped the boy's back and chirped. Let's get going then. As they finished the tour of the building, Naruto realized that something was amiss. The entire time they were walking and talking, not a single person passed them by. Hey researcher la dash. She stared at him, a hard glint in her eyes. Takami. The boy shrunk. How she was scarier than Tsunade despite being a mere civilian, he didn't know. I was wondering, why isn't there anyone walking around the halls? Oh, it's because all the researchers are in labs. They are here for intensive research, you know. And the disciplinary squad usually stay in their preferred spot, so they don't move around much either, she mentioned. A familiar ding was heard. Mission: find a martial arts trainer. Reward: a new skill, better relationship with the trainer. Martial arts? There's someone who teaches that on this island? Naruto grew silent, trying to comprehend the new mission. Uzumaki-san, is something the matter? You seem to be spacing out a little. The woman looked at the blonde. Huh? Oh. I'm fine. He smiled. Say, would you happen to know anyone that can help me train in, I don't know, martial arts? The researcher raised her delicate eyebrow. Martial arts? Where'd that come from all of a sudden? Naruto flustered. Well, I realized that I needed to work on my form a bit more from the last battle, you see, so I was wondering if anyone trained those Sekirei to fight? I'm sorry to say, Uzumaki-san, but the Sekirei seem to learn their respective forms instinctually. We still don't quite understand it, but they just find a liking to a certain style, and they train in it. Though that's only the case for offensive Sekirei. Naruto sighed. Now how am I going to get a tutor? That means that the only choice I have left is... He shivered. Kami, this is going to be a tiring day. Better get this over with. I'll be going then. Thanks for the hospitality. And without waiting for a reply, he ran off to the nearest exit. Kids these days. Takami huffed. I sure hope that my Minato won't turn out so rude. I won't allow it to happen even if I have to beat the manners into him. Somewhere back in Shinto Taido, a small boy shivered as his life felt threatened somehow. The blonde shinobi now stood on the desolate grounds of the Kamakura Island, searching vehemently for a certain lavender-haired woman. Now, how do I find the lady in such a large place? A loud boom was accompanied by a large amount of smoke. I guess that answers my question. His sweat dropped and took off to the direction, fully taking advantage of his enhanced speed. And as expected, a woman was practicing a kata with her weapon with fluid and elegant motions that made it look as if she were dancing. Entranced by her movements, Naruto watched her slice through the air multiple times. This soon came to a halt when the said woman finished off her kata by creating a shockwave slightly left to the boy's direction. "What business do you have here?" Her voice rang loud and clear despite their distance. Naruto walked up to her, his eyes not once leaving hers, however intimidating they were. "I'm here to ask you a favor," he calmly replied. The Sekirei's eyes narrowed into slits. "Just because you are no longer an intruder does not mean that I have to show you any hospitality, nor grant you any favors." I know. He backed off slightly, both hands facing towards her in front of his chest in an attempt to douse her anger. "It's just that, after the one-sided battle yesterday, I realized how weak I was, again." He sighed. "I just don't want to feel that kind of helplessness again. So I was wondering if you could teach me how to fight in hand-to-hand combat?" He smiled shakily, trying his best not to cower down from the obviously superior woman. "No," she replied without even contemplating the thought. "I don't have time to waste on trivial things like you. I'm already wasting my time as it is, interacting with something that gains me no merit." The lavender-haired woman turned on her heels and started to walk away. "Wait!" the boy shouted to the woman. I will show you that I'm not a waste of your time. I've done it countless of times before, and I'll do it again." Not showing any signs of having heard the blonde speak, the leader of the disciplinary squad continued walking. "A match!" Naruto cried. "I'll fight you and show you that I have potential." The woman stopped in her steps and spoke without turning to him. "You've already proven your worth yesterday, and I doubt anything will change right now. It is a complete waste of time. Train yourself if you have time to pursue such quixotic ideals." Deeming it as the end of the conversation, she resumed walking away from him. Naruto gritted his teeth at the sudden reminder of an unpleasant memory. "Come to think of it, isn't being Hokage a dream of yours? If you had the time to go around looking for me, you would have been better off training. Don't you think, Naruto?" "Damn it!" he cursed. "I refuse to be weak any longer." The shinobi put his enhanced speed to use once more, and sprinted towards the woman, chakra already charged at the sole of his feet. "Rasengan!" Having felt the boy charge, Miya jumped into the air and flipped out of the range of attack. "Foolish boy, do you truly not understand the difference of our skills? Then allow me to demonstrate." She flicked her katana out of the sheath and swung it in a full arc. With a gigantic shockwave, deep crevices were created, redesigning the environment. Naruto shot out of the way, only for him to face another shockwave. Unable to parry this one, he summoned a Rasengan in hopes of softening the blow. The attack was too large and powerful, however, and he took the full brunt of the attack. Naruto flew back quite a distance, and he was able to hold himself just barely as he skidded down on all fours. But before he was able to even stand, the woman swung her katana once again with more power and speed. Though it wasn't as strong as those that felled battleships in the invasion just a year ago, it was definitely a killing blow that would exterminate most Sekirei in one hit. The bloodied boy fell to the ground, unmoving. Deep gashes marred his upper body diagonally, and more blood than thought humanely possible poured out to the cold floor. Though unnoticed by the blonde, his HP bar was down to the red zone, and the continuous loss of blood only seemed to dwindle the remaining health points. Miya silently turned away as her urge to mindlessly train only grew. "Wait!" a raspy voice pleaded. His arms moved to support his body. "Not done yet," and he shakily stood back up, stumbling as he did so. It truly was a gruesome sight to behold. His sun-kissed blonde hair was now dyed red with blood, and his blood was dripping from his mouth down to his chin. His gray haori was nowhere to be seen, and his newly received uniform was torn into tatters, the remaining bits heavily soaked in blood. The gigantic diagonal gash on his torso was open even further from moving just now. When the young shinobi opened his eyes, he couldn't really see much. The woman was barely visible as his vision was blurry and had patches of black and white due to the lack of blood. Then he noticed the health bar blinking repeatedly. He smiled bitterly. Well, I'm in some deep shit now, aren't I? But Miya. He took a tentative step towards her. I'm really going to get stronger, so I can protect my precious people. He took a step forward. Even if they're no longer here. And another. And I will never give up, 'cause that's my nindo, it's my ninja way. The shinobi mustered up all his strength and focus, and called up a Rasengan. Miya looked at him in disbelief. He started to trudge toward in the woman's direction, slowly picking up speed. However, it was not meant to be as the ball of energy started to falter and dissipate. And with that, the boy's world darkened. The first thing Naruto noticed when he opened his eyes was the white and unfamiliar ceiling. I guess that even in the future the hospitals have white ceilings. He mused. It's nice, just the way I hate it. The boy smiled. It's rather nostalgic as well. Too bad I don't have the strength to escape and wreak havoc from this one. He silently chuckled to himself. He was out for 12 hours it seemed, as his clock pointed to 11 p.m. His health bar was slightly more than half full now, though he could still feel the incessant throbbing on his torso. It only got better with the bitter reminder of his abject failure. Well, at least I'm alive, right? Another miraculous return from the dead, it seems. The blonde sat up on the bed, ignoring his protesting body. The moon was beaming brightly tonight, as though it was trying to console him for his defeat. Bah! What am I thinking, all poetic and icky? I'm Naruto fucking Uzumaki, dammit! I don't do mushy! I'm the man who rules with his fist. He huffed. Kami, the damage really must have done a number on me. The boy shook his head in an attempt to clear his head. I should quickly find a mentor and get this mission over with. This battle only proves that I need to train more than ever. Seeing that it's unlikely that Miya will help me train, and Kazehana is out of commission for a while, the only options I have left would be the male, the redhead, and... He paled. The bloodthirsty lady. He gulped as he started to recount the possible candidates for his trainer. He was pretty sure that the male was a good fighter, if the sword on his belt was anything to go by. The man probably dislikes him as much as Miya though, because the boy used him as a shield for the maniacal woman's attack. Or maybe I could pretend that I didn't do anything and ask him for assistance? He didn't seem to know what a kawarimi is, though if anyone told him of what I did, I'd be royally screwed. The boy took a deep, shuddering breath as he thought of the possible consequences of getting caught. He would stay away from the man for a while, he decided. Perhaps I could go to the redhead? He mused. The glasses-wearing woman was the most mysterious one of the whole squad, to him at least. She hadn't moved much during the battles, and she didn't seem to have a single weapon on her. Maybe she attacks with elements? Naruto sighed. Element users wouldn't help him much at this point, unless they were good at hand-to-hand combat, which was pretty doubtful considering that they are likely to just spam mid to long-range attacks without moving much. Then the only one left in the list was... Oh hell no. She would definitely butcher me before I get a single tip from her. I'd rather learn things myself if it comes to that. I barely escaped death just now, and I have no intention of doing that again for a good while. Naruto slumped back on the bed. I thought the game was supposed to make me stronger. How is it going to do that if all it gives me is nearly impossible missions and multiple chances to knock on death's door? The blonde seethed in frustration. Then he took in deep breaths, calming his inner turmoil. His facial expression softened into a slight look of defeat. Well, no point raging about it now, I guess. He sighed for the umpteenth time that day. Maybe I'll go meet the glasses-wearing girl, and see how it plays from there. It's not like I have any other choice, for that matter. The boy closed his eyes in trying to sleep, but it was a while before he was able to do so. I'm up! I'm up! The boy practically sprung out of his blanket. He then proceeded to slap his right cheek, hard enough to leave it stinging for a few seconds. An amazing way to start an amazing day, he thought sardonically. He got out of the bed without any troubles, and noticed that none of his body was in pain, save for the tingling on his cheek, which he was sure that it was swollen. Moving on from the small irritation, he took his hospital gown off and ripped the bandage that was constricting his entire torso. As he looked down at his stomach, he noticed that not a single scar marred his skin, save for the star-shaped one near his heart, a goodbye present from his former best friend. Shaking the melancholy thought away, Naruto went back to marveling at the speed of his healing. If my healing wasn't fast before, it sure as hell is now. This game really is something to be able to heal such a wound in less than a day. He did a quick series of stretches to dissolve the clinks in his joints, and was satisfied to find out that his body was back to perfect health. The red bar was full, too, which proved that his notion was indeed correct. On the floor by the bedside, Naruto noticed a neatly folded set of the disciplinary squad's uniform. So they didn't forget this time. He smirked. I guess I won't have to walk around in hospital gown then. The boy quickly got rid of all the bandages on his body and changed into the new set of garments. Then he proceeded to briefly outline the day's schedule in his head. He would first eat breakfast in proper clothes this time, and he would find the red-headed girl to ask for advice or possibly tutelage. The impromptu planning stopped there. He didn't quite know where or how to find the Sekirei, and he couldn't even begin to guess as he did so with Miya. Naruto groaned, his shoulders slumping. The boy really wasn't pleased with the idea of having to waste yet another day, doing nothing constructive. A single day doing nothing was a whole day of training lost. And he really needed training right now. Training that he wouldn't be able to start until he finished the damned mission. So he was back to square one, unless someone could point in her direction. Maybe I could ask Takahito about her? He said he'd be waiting, in Lab C3. Naruto paled. He had completely forgotten about the meeting with the researcher last night. Needless to say, he couldn't have gone there even if he hadn't forgotten due to his unpleasant physical condition. And this would have been a good enough reason to most people for foregoing the meeting. Takahito was not most people, though. Forget the previous plans. If I don't apologize to him now, who knows what he'll do to me? The young shinobi hastily grabbed his Haori and ran out of the clinic, slamming the door behind him. He swerved left and darted down the hallway, only to realize that he was going in the wrong direction and made a U-turn, scurrying off in the opposite direction. The door to a certain lab opened slowly and silently, and a tuft of blonde hair poked out of the small gap. A foot clad in shinobi sandals slid in next, which was soon followed by a head, frantically looking for any sign of people in the lab. When he came to the conclusion that no one was here, he let out a breath he was holding, and walked in confidently. The room was nothing like he'd ever seen. There were large containers filled with green liquid and some bizarre-looking machinery lined up on the floor. Dozens of pipes were connecting who knows what, and lights around the area were flashing in random intervals. On the walls, many bottles and flasks that had different things contained in it were placed on a metal shelf. He didn't really want to know any specifics, but they sure were fascinating to observe. In the middle of the room, a dim light was shining on a single, large desk. The desk wasn't very notable in itself, but the state of it was. There were several thick books sprawled open on the side of the desk, and dozens, perhaps hundreds of paper lying disarrayed on the table. Beside the desk was a small pile of wrappers and food containers that were stacked up in an unstable manner. This place is dirtier than my room back in Konoha. And that's really saying something considering that I'm not one to clean that often. The boy mused. Who would have thought that Takahito was such a messy person? He spoke out his thoughts as he snickered to himself. All of a sudden, the door behind him closed with a slam. The blonde turned his head at such a speed that would have cracked his neck. Holding his breath, he inspected the area. Nothing was out of place save for the closed door. His eyes searched the area, more urgently this time, but nothing came into his vision. Naruto tentatively took a few steps back, though his body was stiffening from the unknown danger. There are no such things as ghosts, there are no such things as ghosts. Who am I kidding? Of course there are ghosts. And I won't be able to hit them even if they attack me. The boy's breath started to get shorter, almost nearing the state of hyperventilation now. So when a ghastly face silently appeared right beside his shoulder, he did the only logical thing, and screamed like an 8-year-old girl as he sprinted to a corner of the lab. Era? I didn't know you were so afraid of the dark, Uzumaki-kun. I thought that ninjas were supposed to work at night time? The now identified Takahito spoke in a calm voice, though mirth was evident in his tone. Takahito, it's only you. And I'm not afraid of the dark. It's only human to be afraid of things that they cannot touch, like ghosts for instance. The boy attempted and failed to defend himself. Well, I can't say I'm sorry for scaring you. After all, it isn't nice to talk bad behind someone's back, you know, the man said, referring to the blonde's previous comment on his messiness. Naruto scuffled his feet. I'm sorry, I guess. I didn't really mean to, 'cause what I really wanted to do was apologize for not coming here last night. Takahito raised his eyebrow. It was rather surprising to see the boy ask for forgiveness on his own accord, without threatening of any sort. Why would you apologize to me? You couldn't help that you were unconscious at that time, the man softly told him. Naruto's eyes widened at the man's unexpected kindness. Though it was your fault that you picked a fight with a woman whose capabilities far surpass your own, the boy cringed. As well as the fact that you nearly killed yourself for not backing down. He cringed again as the man's harsh words pierced the shinobi as a kunai would. Casting his eyes on the floor, he readied himself for the next verbal blow. But I'm glad that you came back breathing. Naruto lifted his head to look at the researcher's eyes. They seemed truly genuine and glad that he had returned. Takahito smiled at the boy. You are a specimen I'd love to experiment on, after all. Naruto stiffened. He'd take back what he said to the man. He was evil, a devil incarnate wearing a sheep's skin. Not in the slightest bit fazed by the boy's reaction, he carried on speaking. With that amazing healing ability of yours, I'd be able to do many things to you, and you'd be able to jump straight up no matter what I throw at you, hoo hoo hoo. Ominous light sparkled from his eyes as he rubbed his hands together. What is he doing? Did he trick me into thinking that he was a nice person to extract information from me and lower my guard around him? Damn, I've got to get out of here. As Naruto panicked and readied himself to run for it, Takahito chuckled softly, his usual expressions returning on his visage. I'm sorry, Uzumaki-kun, but I just couldn't forego the chance. It was hilarious, even if you won't admit. That was uncalled for. Naruto crossed his hands over his chest, annoyance and a slight bit of fear still in his eyes. The man's expression changed from that of joviality to that of seriousness. But you really have to learn not to overestimate and kill yourself out there. I was really worried when you came back in such a state. He spoke softly. The boy only nodded in response. So, are you fully healed now? A nod. Then can I run a quick scan on you? I want to check out your body status as well as some other things I've wanted to look into. Naruto looked at the man again. It's about the experiments from before, right? Better get this over with, he grumbled. But don't do that evil mad scientist act again, alright? It seriously gives me the creeps. He moved his eyes elsewhere, thinking about a certain snake Sanin. Of course, it was only meant to be a whimsical joke in the first place. Now come this way. The researcher led Naruto to something that looked akin to a gray clinic bed with an intimidating machine standing beside it. Lie down here, please. He smiled. Okay. Naruto replied, a bit uncertain now. Now if you would stay still. The gray-haired researcher took out multiple patches all with wires attached to them, and stuck them on seemingly random places on the boy's face and body. His eyes glinted as he took out a gigantic syringe. A syringe that would take even Miya out for a good while. Good night, Uzumaki-kun. The last thing the boy could feel before blackening out was a needle piercing his ass. Naruto awoke, with a numbing sensation all over his body. Kami, why do I faint so much on this island? I probably lost more consciousness here than the rest of my life combined. He sat up and looked around the room. Takahito was by a desk not too far away from him, furiously scribbling down while muttering something. Freaky. Seeing as the weird patches were still on his arms, he deduced that they were still all over his body. He would have to interrupt the researcher from his mutterings. He was getting itchy and uncomfortable, after all. Hey, Takahito! Mind if I take these off? He called for the man. The said man jerked up in surprise, and glanced at his watch. He scribbled something on his paper as he replied. Sure, go ahead. Naruto plucked the visible ones off his arms and legs first, as well as his face and torso, and then proceeded to let his hands wander his own body as he searched for others. 2 were on his back, 1 on the back of his neck, and 1 at the back of his shoulder. As the boy was finishing off, Takahito approached him, holding a thick compilation of paper. You sure woke up much earlier than I expected. I thought it would last at least 5 hours, even considering your ability. This was the strongest anesthetics we have on this island, which is saying something because it even works on the disciplinary squad members, including Miya. The man seemed to be impressed. Naruto didn't quite see much significance there, so he simply shrugged. So, find anything interesting? Oh, yes. His tone changed to that of an excited child's. You aren't quite similar to the Sekirei as I've expected. There is a core of energy a bit above your stomach, but it seems to be more developed than the Sekirei core somehow. And more potent, too. The man looked at Naruto. Not only that, but you seem to have 2 different types of energy in your body, which confused me a little. One was almost dormant in your stomach, while the other one was circulating through your entire body. I'm going to have to research this a bit further. He scribbled on the paper he was holding, and started to mutter to himself again. Though a bit disturbed by the man's behavior, the boy was taken aback by the accuracy of the analysis. These people of the future really were amazing, to be able to do such things without the help of bloodlines such as the Byakugan. Not that he cared for the specifics. He had better things to do, like training. Hey, so are you satisfied now? The man stopped mid-rant and looked up with a curious glance. 'Cause I have some questions I want to ask you too. It's quite urgent. What are they? He asked. Well, remember the missions I told you about? The man nodded. I got a new one yesterday. Naruto shifted his position to directly look at Takahito. It told me to get a martial arts teacher. I thought it was easy enough at first, but there seems to be no martial artist other than Sekirei here. The man interrupted him mid-speech. Is that why you fought Miya yesterday? Strange, she usually isn't the type to instigate any fights, no matter how violent she seems. Well, partly, Naruto admitted. But that wasn't really the reason for our fight. I was a bit pissed at her attitude, and I may have attacked her first. He smiled sheepishly. Ah, that explains it, the man said. Well, you'd have to excuse her, Uzumaki-kun. She isn't one for expressing her feelings. Miya was entrusted with a serious responsibility since she was young, so she's not quite like the others, he explained. Though it was interesting how she seemed to be distressed when she brought you in. The man muttered under his breath. What was that? Naruto questioned, having missed what the man said to himself. It's nothing, just an interesting speculation of mine. He smiled. The boy looked at him weirdly, then continued pouring out his ruminations. Anyways, I don't know what to do anymore. Kazehana seemed nice enough, but she probably wouldn't be able to help me even if she wasn't hurt. And that bloodthirsty one promised that she'd kill me the next time we meet. I used the male one as a shield and made him pass out. I doubt that he'll enjoy my presence around him. He listed all the Sekirei he knew. Miya is friggin' disinterested in me, and would not give me a second of her time. So the only conclusion I came up with was that I need to meet that red-headed girl with the glasses. Naruto sighed. But I haven't a clue where she is, what she does, and what she's like. I'm at a dead end here. So could you help me out a little, please? He pleaded. The man looked contemplative as he turned around. All I could tell you at this point is that Matsu, the red-haired girl you were talking about, is an intelligent type Sekirei. So she probably can't help much with the physical department if you're searching for a hand-on approach kind of teacher. Takahito stopped for a moment to think if he missed anything. Remembering a crucial point to his argument, he slapped his fist onto his palm. Oh, and for fair warning, she only acts and cares for things she finds interesting. So if you aren't able to catch her attention, your chance of having a civil conversation with her will be terminated. He paused. And that's all I can tell you. Wait, what do you mean by that's all you can tell me? You can spare some things that can be useful, can't you? Naruto asked frantically. The man turned and faced the shinobi again. Well, I can tell you. But I won't. It is their personal information we're talking about. He smiled. I'm afraid I won't be helping you in this aspect unless you have anything of equal value to offer. I can't spoon-feed you all the time, after all. Otherwise, you can try the old-fashioned way of trial and error until the girl accepts you, the man said offhandedly. Why you? I've already told you a lot about myself, didn't I? What else do you want to extract out of me? He almost yelled in frustration. Takahito tapped his chin in mock thinking. I won't ask for much. You really seem to need the information on the entire disciplinary squad to save the time you've already lost so much of. Naruto winced at the reminder. All I ask from you is to participate in some of the more daring experiments dealing with your energy source. You mean my chakra? Naruto inquired. That's rather risky, isn't it? Especially in the hands of someone who barely knows about shinobi. You shouldn't have to worry too much about it, though. The man intervened in his rebuttal. Our technology developed a great deal in 3,000 years. It can do the things you never would have imagined. Naruto still looked skeptical. Think about it this way, Uzumaki-kun. I have the information you need, and you have the resources I want to look into. Two eyes glinted at the boy. All I'm asking for is permission to go a little deeper than we previously agreed we would. This is quite the fair trade, don't you think? Naruto narrowed his eyes at the person standing in front of him. He was cornered. He had nowhere else to run, no one to turn to. He had to do this, even if it meant shaking hands with the devil himself, as long as his body and soul was safe, of course. Fine. I'll do it. Just don't cripple my body. He sighed. Splendid. The older man clasped his hands together and smiled. Now, the information? Naruto placed his hand out, gesturing to give it to him. Impatient, are we? Takahito chuckled. The boy growled back. The only reason I'm offering my body to you is because of time. He went over his words. Kami, that sounded so wrong in so many ways. He face-palmed. It's good to be young. Takahito crooned. Naruto glared. Just sit here and wait. It won't take long. The man stated and left the room, leaving the blonde to himself. Truth to be said, Naruto wasn't too worried about the turn of events. No matter how risky tinkering with chakra and its core can be, he was sure that the game system wouldn't allow anything to be too threatening. If worst came to worst, the Kyuubi would probably be able to do something about it, though he didn't quite want to resort to using the fox's power. What he was concerned with was how much he would change in the time he stayed on the island. Now that the shinobi world was gone, he couldn't become Hokage anymore. And since all his friends and precious people weren't here, he wasn't able to socialize and play the fool, making them laugh at the stupidity of his actions. The boy's eyes hardened. He didn't have any lifelong goal in his mind but to get stronger than those Sekirei and Sasuke by default. He was afraid. Afraid that he would turn into a narrow-minded fool who cares for nothing other than gaining power. He knew that the only reason he did not go crazy in the first place was because he had his precious people. Now that they are no longer here, he would be more susceptible to hatred than he has ever been. His brooding was cut short by the opening of the lab door, which Naruto was thankful for. He didn't need any more negative thoughts. True to his words, Takahito only took a short while to return. Here you go, the profile of the disciplinary squad members. The man handed the stapled pile of paper to Naruto. I hope you can use it to its fullest potential. He smiled. The blonde glanced at the profile, before calling out and putting it in his inventory. He didn't want to explain what he was doing with this kind of information when he bumped into anyone in the corridors. Takahito's eyes widened at the boy's nonchalant use of a time/space storage. I'd love to get my hands at all the possible experiments I could try. He darkly muttered about a pearl necklace on pigs, which Naruto promptly decided to ignore. I'll be going then. Naruto stood up and started for the door. Don't forget the weekly meetings here on Wednesdays, Takahito called back. The blonde merely raised his hand as an affirmative. 3 short knocks alerted the Sekirei of his presence. "Excuse me," Naruto spoke as he let himself in the auxiliary control room. It was a small room with many screens with different rooms and hallways portrayed in them. What truly surprised him was that some of them had what looked like people moving in them. Dazed by the mind-blowing discovery, he temporarily forgot the main reason he came to this room. "I've been expecting you." He didn't show any response to the girl. Instead, he seemed to be closing in to the screens. "Ahem." The girl cleared her throat. This finally caught Naruto's attention, as he turned his head to meet her eyes. His eyes held a slight amount of shock at seeing the girl and a bit of embarrassment for forgetting about her, though he quickly hid it so that she wouldn't notice. Naruto opened his mouth to offer an apology, but the girl beat him to it. "I've been expecting you, Naruto Uzumaki." She smiled as if she hadn't just said the same corny lines twice. Okay," came the intelligent reply from the blonde. The redhead's glasses glinted. "Naruto Uzumaki, approximated to be 16 years old. Is 166 centimeters tall, weighs 50.9 kilograms, blood type B. Suddenly appeared in the middle of Kamakura Island in June 7, 2007. Is not yet identified whether his home planet is Earth, but is definitely not of the current world. Occupation, shinobi." She readjusted her glasses as she said the last part. And by the way she was looking at him, she was obviously expecting him to be astonished by her ability to collect information. Naruto raised his eyebrow in mock surprise. "You certainly are well informed." Then he smirked. "But two can play at that game, number 2 Matsu." He inhaled slightly, and began listing what he had read just prior to coming to this room. "Matsu, Sekirei number 2. A brain-type Sekirei, and has ability that can access electronic devices in a telepathic manner. Height, 161 centimeters, weight, 47 kilograms. 3 sizes, 95-58-91. He smirked at the sight of Matsu's stunned face. "Hobbies, watching anime and soap opera, but seems to take a special liking towards R-rated ones. On a side note, you wear glasses even though you're a Sekirei because a slight accident occurred during your adjustment." He paused. "That is all," and gave her a victorious smile. She blinked, unable to comprehend that her plan to greet and overhaul the boy was sabotaged by none other than the boy himself. "Well, you're certainly a lot more interesting than I first thought you'd be." Naruto grinned once again. "Why, thank you. Naruto Uzumaki, at your service, ma'am." He bowed to her dramatically. He was satisfied to get the intended effect when the girl giggled. "Though I'd love to chit-chat, I'm not really here for that today." He stood up straight again, showing that he was now being serious. "I've come here to ask you a favor, Matsu." The girl was intrigued once by his sudden change of character, and twice by his lack of honorifics for her. "I'm listening." "Though it embarrasses me to admit it, I am in need of more training, especially in the physical department. And I've been searching all over the island for a possible martial arts trainer, but I haven't been able to find one yet." His cerulean eyes met her red ones. "I know that you probably won't be willing to teach me using hands-on approach, but I was wondering if you could help me with finding a form that suits me and supervise my katas once in a while?" The redhead seemed to consider it for a moment. "What's in it for Matsu?" "Huh?" The blonde was taken aback at the unexpected question. He hadn't seriously thought that far. "What's in it for Matsu? Matsu doesn't do random deeds for free. Matsu has better things to do with her life." She crossed her hands under her generous bust. "Well, I don't really have anything on me right now except for my body, though I guess I could entertain you in some way?" Now he was just throwing random things at her. But she didn't mind, no. In fact, what she heard just now pleased her to a great deal that her eyes twinkled with glee. "Your body. Entertain." Kukukukuku, she started laughing creepily, with a slight drool hanging off her mouth. Naruto took a step back. He didn't really like that laugh of hers. "I'll let Matsu experiment with your body," she exclaimed. The drool was still in place, and her hands were moving as if they were trying to grab something. "Experiment?" The boy's face twisted in distaste. "I am willing to do many things, but that is not one of them. He already had enough on his plate with Takahito tinkering with his body, after all. But Naruto, the sticky substance will make you feel so good, she whined, misinterpreting Naruto's distaste for real experiments for the experiments she were talking about. No means no, Matsu. I have my morals and ideals, and I wish to stick to them as much as I can. Takahito was a special case, Naruto told himself. He literally had no other choice. But the girl, he would resist. Especially if he could do something else to compensate for the favor. The redhead looked downtrodden. Fine, Matsu will comply to Naruto's wishes. However, she raised a finger. Naruto will grant Matsu a wish, too. Matsu will not ask for one right now, but Naruto will have to do whatever Matsu wants him to do later. She looked satisfied with herself. The proposal came as a relief to the blonde, as he believed it was reasonable. It was a plus that he didn't have to deal with it right now. Naruto brought his hand out for a shake. Deal! Matsu smiled at him and grabbed his hand. Naruto happily shook it with great vigor. It was a great moment for the shinobi. He was finally able to get a Sekirei to help him learn a martial arts style. Matsu was having her own moment of delight. She hadn't touched such a warm hand in a long time. His durable grip on her hand was heartwarming. So she slightly frowned when the shake ended so quickly. So how do we do this? Naruto inquired. The girl seemed to me in thought, as she went into a thinking position. Well, the best route to do this is to find the arts that are best suited for your body type and fighting style. She paused for a moment. I guess that I could somewhat teach you the katas, but it would be best if you change the forms around to make them fit you better, or incorporate those special moves better. Naruto blinked at such a concise answer. I guess that would work. That would work really well. He nodded to himself slowly. The redhead drew a V sign and smiled. Of course it would. It's Matsu's plan after all. The boy smiled in return. But Matsu will need some time to search for the different arts. Still, it won't take too long because Matsu already finished analyzing Naruto's fighting style the first day we fought. That is amazing, Matsu! You're quite the Sekirei, aren't you? He exclaimed. Why, yeah. The girl only blushed in embarrassment at his explicit praise. She then pushed her glasses up and asked, So shall we meet every day starting tomorrow? I guess? Naruto tilted his head to the left. That probably would be the best. Understood. She turned her chair to face the screens again and started tapping a board. Naruto sighed. He really needed to catch up to the modern technology, lest he look like a fool. A bigger fool. Though her eyes were still on the screen, Matsu seemed to detect the boy's distress. Is something the matter, Naruto? And nothing. He shook his hands. If you're busy now, I'd better get going. The girl stopped typing and turned her chair halfway to glance at him once again. You don't have to leave, you know. Matsu doesn't mind you watching her work, she replied shyly. No. It's fine. I don't seem to be of any help here, he responded almost immediately. Matsu pouted. Now you could have at least given it some thought. It was Naruto's turn to look sheepish. Sorry. But I just thought that lounging about was not the best way to use my time. He continued. I have some material I wanted to look over too, so... Yeah? Matsu can understand when she's not wanted. That's not what I may dash. She cut him off and poked her tongue out. I know. THL. Naruto drooped his head in part relief and part exasperation. Just make sure you get here by 2 after lunch, she told him in a jovial tone. Sure thing, Matsu-chan. He gave her his foxy grin, not realizing his change in honorifics. Then he swiftly closed the door behind him, leaving a flabbergasted girl behind. Matsu-chan, huh? No one's called me that before. She fiddled her hands. I think I like the sound of that. Chapter end. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story. And also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Peace out.